Hi, welcome to Making All the Plans. I'm Connie, and if we haven't met before, I'm a busy mom of 2 active kids, and both my husband and I have full-time careers. My goal is to share with you how I stay on top of all life throws at me in one planner so that you might be able to do the same. Today I wanted to chat about meal planning. I feel like this one habit can really transform your daily routine. If you've ever found yourself stressed out about what's for dinner or overwhelmed by the constant question, what's to eat, then meal planning is for you. So let's talk about how you can seamlessly incorporate meal planning into your planner routine for a more organized and stress-free week. Before we jump into the how-tos, let's just talk about why meal planning is such a game changer. Personally, I've noticed that if I don't meal plan, I end up hitting the fast food or grabbing pizza on my way home from work. This not only puts a dent in our budget, but it's an unbalanced meal for my family. Meal planning isn't just about saving time and money, it's a strategy that encourages healthier choices and reduces the daily stress of figuring out what to eat. So for me, the first step to meal planning is figuring out your meal planning schedule. Do you want a monthly meal plan, a weekly meal plan, or do you just want to plan the next 3 or 5 meals and then start over again? Most of the time I do a weekly meal plan. However, I am going to be doing a monthly meal plan in this video just because I will be out of town a lot this month and I want to make sure that my family is set up for success while I'm gone. So whichever method you choose, it's really up to you, but the meal planning itself is what is the game changer, whether you pick weekly, monthly, or a shorter or longer term than that. But let's go ahead and dive into the actual meal plan. The first thing that I need to do, and please don't judge the state of my freezers, but the first thing that I do is take inventory, especially when I do these month-long meal plans. So I am literally going through both freezers and the fridge to see what food needs to be consumed. I am also trying to clean out our deep freeze in the process just so I can defrost it and then start over again. So I did go ahead and just make an easy list of what was in each freezer, so the deep freeze, and then the upstairs freezer, and then what I have in the fridge. And of course the stuff in the fridge needs to be dealt with first because it is going to go bad the quickest. So as I was taking inventory of the freezer, I did go ahead and throw some things away. There were some things left in there from COVID, and I am ashamed to say that I overbought during COVID because we were afraid that we were not going to be able to get what we needed, and I bought things because they were available. So when we couldn't get chicken, I bought pork chops, and guess what? I hate pork chops. So they didn't get eaten, and there are still some in the freezer. So honestly, not only are they 4 years old, I was not going to eat them once we had other food available to us. So I am ashamed that I did throw away food. I hate throwing away food, but I am trying to give myself some grace. I've learned a lot about myself, my husband, and how my family eats that I can carry forward with me as I continue to buy food and plan our meals. So once I got everything organized, I did realize that we have way too many French fries. So I'm going to stop buying French fries. We also have way too many bagel bites. My kids aren't really into bagel bites right now, of course. As soon as I buy a bunch, that's when they stop liking them. So I'm just going to try to stop buying so many things that they are not eating. So the French bread pizza that you see on the door of the freezer, that is something that my kids love. And I don't see that getting old, so I'm not afraid of that. But it's the one-offs. It's the like Bosco sticks, the cheese bites, the cheese sticks, all the little snacky things that they kind of ebb and flow what they like and what they don't like. For a while, we had a ton of Hot Pockets, and one day they just decided they didn't like them anymore. So my husband and I were eating Hot Pockets, and we didn't like them. So I'm really trying to dial back those types of snacks. In addition, I would like my children to eat slightly healthier. We don't eat horribly, but we do eat too many processed foods. So if I can dial that back some, I'm going to try to do that. So on the top shelf of the freezer, we do have a bunch of freezer meals. They're mostly chicken on the right-hand side, and then some things that I froze from my tomatoes this year. So I have a homemade salsa, homemade pasta sauce, and then something that I'm calling a chili base. And my husband made this last week, and I forgot that I had made the chili base. So remembering the things that I have in the freezer is kind of important as well. So this is where my list is going to come in handy. That top shelf has chicken freezer meals on it, as well as all my pasta sauce and things like that. The second shelf has mostly meats and fishes. The third shelf is the fries, other potato products, and a few desserts. The third shelf has a couple racks of ribs on it and a few other just random things. And then that whole bottom basket is just frozen solid. So that's what I need to defrost. Okay, so I know that I want to do a monthly meal plan. I've done my inventory check. Now I need to look at the schedule for this month. And it is a bit crazy because I will be out of town 2 weekends of the month, and I have a scrapbooking crop one night. So, in addition to just the normal things like soccer and I think softball might be starting up this month, it does get a little crazy. So I do go ahead and look at the calendar that I have in front of me. Now, I know that the calendar is going to change. That is a given. But if I can plan around the busy days now, I'll have less stress when those things come up. And then when the oddball thing gets thrown in, it's not as big of a deal. Okay, so I'm doing a monthly meal plan. I've done my inventory. I've checked my schedule. Now I'm going to think about just the likes and the dislikes of my family. My kids are sick of red meat. They need a break. I get it. They also would like a break from smoked meats, but my husband and I really like barbecue and smoked meat. So I have a shoulder that needs to be eaten. So we are going to do pulled pork one night, and then with the extras, I will do like a porky mac and cheese. So that will be one weekend. And we have 2 racks of ribs. I would definitely like to get at least one of them eaten. So we'll have ribs another night. So sometimes the kids will just have to deal, but I do try to plan around their likes and dislikes. My husband, on the other hand, he is not a huge fan of rice. We went through a stage where we ate rice a lot, so now I'm trying to tone back the number of times in a month that we have rice. I'm going to keep that in mind as well. For me, really, the thing that I don't like is peppers. I dislike peppers. So if there is a meal that calls for peppers, I either make a little bit without the peppers or I leave them big enough where I can pull them out easily. But of course, everybody else in my family doesn't mind the peppers. Okay, so with those things in mind, my monthly meal plan, I've gotten my inventory list, I've looked at the schedule, I've thought about the likes and the dislikes. Now you need to decide if you want to do a theme night. Do you want a Mexican night, meatless Monday, Taco Tuesday, Friday night pizza, whatever you want to plan, go ahead and put that on the calendar. We don't really do that because of how flexible our schedule needs to be. And now that you've decided whether or not you need a theme night and what night it needs to be, let's go ahead and actually get into the meal planning. So this is just a printable from Squared Plans that I printed out, and I'm just going to write in the days of the month so that I can get started. I'm also going to use my green highlighter from Rytech to just put a green highlight at the bottom of each square so that I remember to purchase vegetables to go with each meal. I'm not going to write in a vegetable because I like to just buy a few vegetables that sound good or look good and then plan to eat them based upon how fresh they look when I get them. So you've decided on the frequency of your meal planning schedule. We've done an inventory check. I've looked at my family schedule. I've thought about their likes and dislikes, whether or not we want a theme night. Now I'm really going to dig into creating my menu. And I'm going to reference my calendar as well as the list that I have from doing the inventory. So here I'm just giving a rough estimate of how much fish we have in the freezer. My daughter doesn't like fish, so I'm going to try to plan those on days she's not going to be at home. So I know that she has her dance on the 10th, so she won't be home. And then she's frequently not home on Fridays because she usually goes to whatever sporting event is going on at school. So we will do fish on both the 16th and the 23rd as well, even though I won't be here. There is just barely enough for three of us, but two people eating the fish is a good amount. So I will go ahead and leave that for the boys to eat when I am out of town. So then I'm also going to figure out the rest of the meals for them while I am out of town. And so I chose the cheesy tater tot casserole from the freezer, as well as the creamy chicken pasta. And for the cheesy tater tot casserole, they just need to make a side vegetable. And for the creamy chicken pasta, everything is in it except for the actual pasta. So somebody will have to make the pasta. And then I decided to do the pasta bake on the 9th because that's when I'm doing my scrapbooking night. It is virtual, so I'll be home. I'll just throw that in the oven before I start, and then I'll grab a plate and eat while I'm scrapbooking, and then the family can have some as well. And we did have burgers tonight, and the rest of the ground beef I will cook up and go ahead and make that pasta bake. And then I will put it in the freezer for a few days, take it out on Thursday, and then bake it on Friday. Then Monday, I want to do pierogies because I need to go into the office and my son has soccer. Frequently, I don't go into the office on Mondays, so I can do something a little easier. I'm also going to put pierogies on the 27th because my daughter has a choir concert and my son has soccer practice. So I'm not really sure how we're going to get them to their various events since they're at the same time, but I need to have an easy meal. On the 11th, I'm going to go ahead and put in pulled pork. I'm struggling to remember what it's called, but pulled pork. And then my husband can do that while I am gone. And so when I get home, dinner will be ready. And then we'll do the porky mac and cheese on that next Monday. I did go ahead and put ribs in for the 18th. Again, he can smoke the ribs while I am out of town. And then when I get home, dinner will be ready. So I'm referencing my list again, partially because any of those items that have multiples, I want to go ahead and try to use one of them this month and then one of them next month so then I can get the freezer completely cleaned out or as cleaned out as possible and condensed down to just our upstairs freezer. So I did go ahead and put hash brown soup on the 13th because I have a big bag of hash browns that need eaten. On the 14th, I put Jamaican jerk chicken. It was not my favorite, but I do know that it just needs to be eaten. The 21st, I'm doing a honey sesame chicken, also from the freezer. And then we have like a thick piece of meat. I think it's a mini roast, but I'm not sure. So we'll do that on the 6th. We have easy Asian meatballs for the 7th. Again, I'm just trying to put all the freezer stuff in that I want to get eaten first, and then I will go back and fill in with other things. I did put chicken enchiladas because we have chicken in the fridge or freezer that needs to be eaten. So I will pull that out of the freezer, cook it up in the crock pot, and then make the enchiladas. But I will go ahead and use my peach highlighter and just highlight those things that I already have in the freezer. So for like the chicken enchiladas, I'm just going to highlight chicken because that way that kind of gives me a reminder that I need to assemble those things. I do want to mention that I only pull out one freezer meal at a time. So if I pull out a freezer meal for Monday night and we don't eat it, we just eat it on Tuesday night instead, and then we adjust the rest of the week's meal plan. I know that we will not be able to avoid ordering pizza or getting takeout, probably still once a week. And that leaves me with about 1 to 2 days each week that I need to plan, three towards the end, I guess. But now I can throw in some of our other like regular meals, even though we're all kind of sick of our regular meals. But they're easy because I know how to make them and I know how long they take. So we're going to go ahead and do those. I just referenced my planner list as well as my list on Pinterest, and now we're just going to fill in a few more things. So for the 19th, we're just going to do grilled cheese and tomato soup. Like I said, Mondays are a little crazy. On the 26th, We are going to do breakfast for dinner because I want my husband to smoke the ham that we have in the freezer on the 25th. So we'll smoke the ham on the 25th, and I'll do kind of like a scalloped potato and ham. And then on Monday, we will use the leftover smoked ham for breakfast. On the 15th, I'm going to go ahead and write in Rubens. I will have to figure out something different for the kids, so that may be a night where we pull out the bagel bites that I'm trying to use up. And then the 22nd, we're going to do sheet pan tacos. The 28th, we'll do steak sandwiches, and the 29th, we will be doing barbecue chicken wraps. Okay, so we have decided that we're doing monthly meal planning. We've checked our inventory, we've looked at our family schedule, we've taken into consideration the likes and dislikes of our family, we've considered theme nights, and we've created our menu. So once your menu is set, you need to create a shopping list of the ingredients that are not already in your inventory. For me, since I am doing a monthly meal plan, my options could be to go monthly, bi-weekly, or weekly. And I will still go weekly because I prefer to have fresher vegetables. I'm not sure where you live, but lately around here in Ohio, I have not been getting great vegetables. So if we don't use them within a week, they usually go bad. So I'm trying to avoid that. So I'm willing to go to the grocery store every week. I also really like to hit sales. So anything that we stock up on, like pasta sauce, or I hate to admit this, frozen waffles, or any of those things that we regularly eat, I do like to shop the sales and stock up on those non-perishable items. So once a week really works for me. So with that in mind, I did go ahead and transfer over this next week's meal plans to my weekly packet. And I can link down below the weekly packet for this week, but I did just use a Passion Planner free printable for this weekly meal plan. And it does have a space for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but I don't normally plan breakfast, lunch, and dinner unless we're having company or it's a holiday or a holiday weekend. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy over what we figured out so far. And then the right side is for a grocery list. And once we get this down, we can look through our meals for the week and figure out what we still need to purchase. And I probably could figure out what each grocery list would be for each week, but I'm just going to wait and do that on Sunday nights. And then I will put in a grocery order for Monday morning and pick it up first thing, unless I have to go into work that day, in which case I will order it for Sunday evening pickup. So I have my grocery list set up. There isn't very much we need. My kids usually eat lunch at school, which is fine. And then I normally have just a few lunch things around in case we are home. Some lunch meat, some tuna, leftovers are always a possibility. And then we have those frozen French bread pizzas in the freezer. And there's just a few random things here and there that the kids can grab or my husband can grab. So there's definitely always enough food around here. It's just a matter of trying to shift to a healthier options. Okay, so we have decided how often we're doing our meal planning. We did an inventory check. We've consulted the family schedule. We've considered the family's likes and dislikes. We've decided whether or not we're having theme nights. We've created our menu. We've made our shopping list. Next, you can either go shopping or you can order your groceries. And I prefer to order my groceries. Going grocery shopping is one of the most painful things in my life, so I try to avoid it. The next thing is whether or not you can prep any food ahead. So a lot of the things on our meal plan this week, there isn't really much for me to plan ahead because I am just pulling them out of the freezer. I've already prepped them ahead. However, if I was not trying to eat down our inventory, I would more likely grab one of the meals out of the freezer and then I would make a meal and double it and freeze part of it, keeping in mind that we don't like to reheat meat. So that really limits our meals that we can freeze. But like I said, there are a few things that I am willing to freeze. We like meatloaf, the meatloaf muffins. A lot of it is mostly ground beef that we don't mind freezing and then reheating. So looking at the menu for this week, I do have chicken enchiladas and the pasta bake on the menu. So the chicken enchiladas, I will probably prep ahead of time because I will need to cook the chicken first. So probably on Tuesday or Wednesday, I will throw the chicken in the crock pot for the day and then shred it that night and assemble the enchiladas. And then Thursday, somebody can just throw the enchiladas in the oven. So when I get home from work, it's all ready to go. I am just ordering bagged salad to go with that. So it's just an easy prep. There isn't going to be anything for me to do when I get home from work, which that's really my biggest goal is the days that I do go into the office, I try to have as little prep as possible when I get home. Friday, I have pasta bake, and that is because of the scrapbooking event that I'm doing. And looking at it now, I may flip-flop Thursday and Friday, but the pasta bake is also something that I will prep ahead of time, and it is being made with ground beef we already have in the fridge, so I probably want to flip-flop those things. Since the chicken enchiladas are something that we can just throw in the oven and eat, that's something that we can have on Friday while I'm scrapbooking, so I may flip-flop those. But really working through the things that you can prep ahead and thinking about how your schedule works and how you're going to prep these meals, it really does give you an advantage when you start the week. It may take a few extra minutes now, but it saves me a ton of time going forward. And that's the comprehensive guide that I use to incorporate meal planning into my planning routine. Just to review, there's 9 steps. The first is deciding on your meal planning schedule. Do you want to do it weekly, bi-weekly, monthly? Then take an inventory check. What's in your fridge, what's in your freezer or freezers, and what needs to be eaten sooner rather than later. Then look at your family schedule. What are the plans for the week or the month that you need to have easy meals for? Or when are you having people over where you'd like to make a bigger, more home-cooked meal? 4, consider the likes and dislikes of your family members. 5, decide whether or not you want to incorporate theme nights into your meal planning. 6, create your menu. 7, create your shopping list. 8, grocery shop, whether you do it online or in person. And then 9 is to prep ahead. And again, that could just be looking at what you need to do, or it could be chopping vegetables, or it could be completely assembling a casserole. Whether you're a busy professional and or a parent juggling multiple responsibilities, mastering meal planning can really make your life more organized and stress-free. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. Until next time, happy planning and happy eating.